So, there's been a lot of weird fan backlash regarding the Galactic Starcruiser lately, and Disney, in a weird move, pulled their latest promo video. What's going on? Hey everybody, welcome to the Dano channel. I am Dano, and we're doing something a little bit different today. I'm going to be talking about the Galactic Starcruiser, the state of everything as far as I see it, my own personal thoughts, worries, concerns, just with the whole state of how everything is right now. It's different. It's weird. It's interesting. Fans are mad, or I don't know if you call them fans. People are mad about it. And we're going to take a look at the promo video, give you my thoughts. And here's the thing. This video is different because as it's premiering right now, if you're watching this as the premiere is happening, I want to let you know to stick around afterwards because this premiere is going to kick over into a live stream. Right now, I'm like pre-recording this video and editing it so you guys can watch it, but I'm also in the live chat talking to you at a different time. It's weird time travel stuff. I know it's weird. But after this video premiere, it's going to kick over into a live stream where we can all chat, and I'll put your guys' stuff on screen, and I might even have a special guest or two join me, and we can all talk about the Galactic Starcruiser and how we feel about it. So, on to my thoughts. So, let me start by saying that the Star Wars community is very funny, in that we are some of the most passionate fans that like just love Star Wars and want everything to be perfect. And I understand that and I respect that, and I'm one of them. I want things to be as good as possible. But there's some people who can see no right. There's like, no matter what happens, they're going to be mad. They're going to be angry. They're going to be just like, ugh, just vitriol, just anger, no matter what it is. And a lot of that it happens online because we have anonymity. Your real name's not attached. Your real picture's not attached. So you can go in and type whatever the heck you want. You can be as awful and mean as you want. You can say stuff you wouldn't normally say to someone's face, right? That's how the internet works. And it's kind of funny to see this stuff happen. But on the latest promo video for Galactic Starcruiser, they showed it's one of the actors from the Goldbergs and Morrow Johnson, and they showed a little bit of the Sublight Cafe. What is it? Sublight, the bar at the Galactic Starcruiser. We saw a little bit of the hallway, and we saw the performer Gaia. Now, this comes a week after we see Josh D'Amaro's lightsaber training, which was not great. I admit, like the video I did about it, I was like, this is kind of underwhelming looking. So you add that, which people are already like, hey, this costs way too much, which is understandable to a point. But it's also like, in my opinion, I'm in a very fortunate position that because of this channel, because after my day job, I come home and go back to work doing stuff for this channel. You know, I sacrifice free time to do this kind of stuff. But because of that, because of you and the people that watch and care about what I have to say, I'm in a fortunate position where I was able to afford to take myself on that trip and book it. And luckily, I have got a group of friends, someone who reached out and said, hey, we're getting a big group going so we can kind of save our cost, save money on it. And so I was able to book the trip, and my out-of-pocket cost was a little over $1,700, which is far less than a family of four paying $6,000 for one room. I understand that difference. I'm in a very fortunate position to be able to have had that opportunity pop up where I have a group that wants to go and needed an extra, so I could jump in on that, because I understand that a family of four paying $6,000, that's a lot. I understand it to the point where I wouldn't even do that for my own family of four. It's not worth it for me to bring my wife and my two kids. One of the kids would really like it and enjoy it and get a lot out of it. The other one would just be whatever about it. And my wife she'd be, again, whatever about it. She'd be like, no, that was cool. She would enjoy herself, but I don't think she would enjoy herself for the amount of money spent, right? So in my eyes, I already understand that in a way, maybe it's not kind of worth it, at least in my personal position. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, I think it's totally worth it for everyone, because honestly, I don't. I don't even think it is for my own family. For me, super fan guy with all this stuff, yeah, for me, it's worth it to spend that much money. And again, I'm fortunate to be in the position where it didn't cost me as much as it's going to cost a lot of people because I have a group that I can go with. And because of this channel, it's one of those things that the channel, whenever you guys use Amazon links, when you guys watch these videos and sit through the ads, all that kind of stuff, that adds into what I can spend on Star Wars. So I'm in a lucky position where I have that extra budget able to do something like that. So that's my position on where I'm coming from. And if I compare that with other things, Disney and other things, Star Wars, to me, the price isn't outlandish for what you get. Now, when you see a lot of the online criticism and the people in the comments who are just mad and angry about everything, it always starts off with the cost. The first thing they're mad about is the price. And yeah, it's out of a lot of people's budgets. This isn't something for everybody, which I think Disney has a major marketing problem that now they're trying to get on top of. And I think it's a little too late. I've mentioned this in previous videos that when you see groups like you see IGN and Gizmodo write these articles, and Inside the Magic, all these outlets putting out stuff like Star Wars Hotel, Star Wars Hotel, it's not a hotel. And they should have never let it be called a hotel from the very beginning. They should have said, it's not a hotel. Don't call it a hotel. Get that out of your promo. Like, we'll send you images and promo stuff for you guys to share in your articles, but do not call it a hotel. Make it a point not to call it a hotel. To the point where now, this week, Entertainment Weekly put out a picture with Captain Kevin. And of course, what's the first line of the article pretty much? It says, it's not a hotel. Too little too late, I think. When you get all these other articles reporting that it's a hotel, people get that in their mindset. Same thing happened with Galaxy's Edge. Star Wars Land, Star Wars Land, Star Wars Land. All you see in all the articles is Star Wars Land, Star Wars Land, Star Wars Land. So when you think Disneyland, you think Fantasyland, Adventureland, Tomorrowland, they're these little amalgamations of like random bits and pieces, right? You look at Fantasyland, you got Peter Pan, you got Pinocchio, you got this mishmash of stories that it kind of all fits an overall theme, but it's kind of just mix and match. There's no like cohesive story. So when you build something like Galaxy's Edge, which is supposed to be one big cohesive story, it's not just a land. It's not just a mishmash where you would have, oh, here's the Tatooine section, here's the Hoth section, which is cool and I'm sure a lot of people want. But that's like base level thinking, right? Like that's the basic. They've done that before. With Galaxy's Edge, they try to go for a high-minded concept of, no, the reason we're going with somewhere you haven't seen before is because it opens you up to create your own stories, which I've taken fully. I've tried to dive into that as full as I can and come up with stuff like the Droid Builder Group, Batu Bounty Hunt, basically using Galaxy's Edge as a playground to create my own story and have my own fun in that land. Something you can't really do in Adventureland, or kind of, I guess, or you can't really do in like Fantasyland because it's all other stories, right? So I fully understand the beauty of Galaxy's Edge and why they made it what they made it. That makes sense to me and that clicks to me. But then you've got a bunch of people who don't want to think on that level. They're still here. They're still just like, no, I want Darth Vader and a lightsaber, and it's not original trilogy, so I'm mad. Understandable, but again, you're thinking old school, and they're trying to give you something new and different so you can create your own story. And I think a big problem with that is not everybody's creative. Not like for real, not everybody. I started this channel doing art tutorials, teaching people how to paint and literally telling them like step by step, hey, this is kind of how I do things. This is what I do. Here's a technique you can use. And most of the comments I would see from people like, oh, I could never do that. I can't do that. I can barely draw a stick figure. You hear that a lot. I can barely draw a stick figure. It's like everybody says it. No one's creative. Like they're creative people, which is cool. There's people who are just not, and they've already given up before they've even tried. And I think a lot of that same thinking is there's people who don't want to even try to create their own story. They just want the weird amalgam of Star Wars. They want a little bit of this, a little bit of that, into this mushy world that's like, it's cool and it's neat. But what they tried to do was a different concept of letting you create your own story. And with budget cuts and cutting this out and performance budget gets cut, Galaxy's Edge became this thing that today in 2021, the end of 2021, I look at and I say, I really love Galaxy's Edge. I think it's really cool. But I fully understand that it is not what they promised us, right? It's not. They showed us this cool stuff, and even look at the concept art with the spires coming up. There's weird little buildings up there. None of that happened. There's no aliens. It's not what they promised, and that has been one of my concerns with the Galactic Starcruiser from the get-go. is this thing going to be what they're promising us in all the promo? You get Scott Trowbridge talking up there, doing his thing. We even recently, Ashley Eckstein was doing a couple interviews, and she went and she's talking it up. And she's such a sweetheart. Like, just listening to her, honestly, eases my concerns a little bit to a point. But I also realize that she's very optimistic no matter what. And usually so am I. And in this case, I'd say I still am too. But I'm not without my concerns. Like, I'm definitely still pro Galactic Starcruiser. I'm still going no matter what, because again, I have this channel. I'm fortunate enough to have the opportunity to be able to share that with a bunch of people who can't and won't be going, and people who are going to be going but they have their little trepidations about it. They're not quite sure they want to keep that reservation. So because I get to go in one of the second group technically, because I get to go with the second voyage, official public voyage, I have the opportunity to share that experience with everyone and give them my honest and true feedback. That's a responsibility I take seriously. So if it sucks, I'm going to tell you it sucks. And honestly, right now, my feelings leading into it is that right now, as opposed to a month ago or a month or two ago when I started making a lot of the Galactic Starcruiser videos, I feel like the possibility for it sucking is higher right now than it was 2 months ago. And that's just honest and true feedback based on what I've seen in the promos. I don't think it's going to, but I think the chances are higher that it might. See, there's a difference there. I honestly think it's going to be awesome, but I also think that that's going to be a lot of me bringing that awesome. Not that I'm like awesome or anything, but what I'm saying is your happiness and the way you enjoy things happens up here first. That's a choice. I can go there and I can choose to be like, oh, well, this isn't perfect and that's not perfect and I hate this, and dwell on all this stuff that I had in my head before I went. Or I can go, take it in for what it is, and enjoy what I enjoy. There's two different ways of handling that. And so one thing that happens with the negativity online, especially in these comments, is you've got people who are mad because they can't afford it. Understandable. It's expensive. I could barely afford it. For me, I couldn't afford it to bring my whole family. That's my position. I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't. It's not something to spend that much money. I would rather spend it for all of us to go somewhere else. That's, as a big Star Wars fan, that's where it is. This, to me, I don't look at this and say, oh, I'm mad because I can't take my whole family. I don't do that. I look at it and say, you know what? That's not for my whole family. That's for me. I can go do that. That's something I'll spend for me, but I won't spend for all of us because we're not all going to get value out of it. And I think people need to realize that. They need to be like, no, this isn't for everybody. Everybody looks at it and says, well, it's Disney World. Everyone should have to. Walt would be turning over in his grave. No, he'd be like, hey, cool idea. We're making money. Let's business, man. Like, that's business. While I don't agree with a lot of the decisions Disney's making with their magic keys at Disneyland, this is one of the first times in years as a fan of, like, as a hardcore Disneyland fan since at least 1999, when I lived in New Mexico, middle of the country, and would only travel out every year or so. I've been obsessed with Disneyland since then. As you know, I was like 18 at the time, and for the first time in a long time, I look at the park and I'm like, yeah, not worth going to. I've only been to Galaxy's Edge twice this year. Once a cast member gave me a ticket. Thank you very much for that, for providing me with that for May the 4th. That was really cool. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone. And then I paid for one ticket to go a couple weeks ago, November 14th for Life Day. That's it. I'm not doing their Magic Key program. It didn't seem like a good value. The decisions that they're making don't align with where I'm at as far as wanting to spend that for entertainment. So I'm definitely in this position right now where I'm like, I'll spend for some stuff, but I'm not just going to like do whatever they throw at me. Which is funny because I still get called a Disney shill just because I enjoy stuff that they make. It's funny. It's whatever. But so you see in the comments a lot of negativity. People who can't afford it, they're mad. They would like to go. I mean, I'm assuming that's why they're mad. It's because they would like to go, but it's out of their budget. And that makes total sense. If that's something that's a concern, they do let you put 20% down and then you can pay it off. So there's an option there to help make it more affordable if it's something you want to do. But I agree. It's expensive. And what they're showing us in these promos, while it does look like the concept art, it doesn't feel right? I mean, I think a lot of people will agree. It's something about it doesn't feel... I see this comment a lot and all this stuff. It doesn't feel like Star Wars. It doesn't look like Star Wars. I'll say yes. I agree with that to a point. The reason I say to a point is when we watch Star Wars, everyone thinks, oh, it's gritty, it's a lived-in universe, it's got to be kind of like dirty and gross. And Batu, Galaxy's Edge, nails that on the head. Everything looks kind of grimy, and it looks like Star Wars, right? Think about Attack of the Clones. Think about all the time we see on Coruscant. Think about all these other planets. I mean, the galaxy's huge, right? We only see little chunks of it in the stories that we've been shown. But there are places, anytime you look at anything First Order, it's always very clean and nice. Anytime you look at anything Empire, it's always very clean and nice. And so this is a ship built in the High Republic era, so it has been lived in, but it's a luxury cruise liner. It's supposed to be clean. That's the point of it. The other point is this is something we've never seen in Star Wars before, so it's going to look different. And while that's hard to wrap our heads around before we've done it, that's just something that we need to consider. And something I'm like personally remind myself, because I do look at the promos and I do agree with people when I see it and be like, it doesn't quite feel right to me. But who am I to say what's right? I'm not, this is something we haven't seen yet, obviously. We've never seen this. This has not been shown in Star Wars yet. And if the galaxy's as big as, it's huge, there are a ton of options of what could exist and what does exist. So again, think about those scenes like the club in Coruscant of everybody dressed all fancy. There's football in the background. Who would have thought Star Wars had football? I don't see anyone crying about that these days. So there's more to Star Wars than we think. And people like to get caught up. They started off being mad. They see that it doesn't look like the way they want it to, so they're even more mad. And you have the anonymity of being a keyboard warrior who can say what you want with no repercussions, and people just let it all out and let Lucasfilm have it. I understand their frustrations. I agree with many of them. And honestly, reading that kind of negativity breeds more negativity in you. I find myself, the more I read it and the more I watch content on stuff like that, which I try not to, but every once in a while I'll watch. And sometimes that stuff sticks in your head. Those negative thoughts stick with you, and they stick in your head, and they kind of just build. And that's the dark side doing its thing. It's working and just consumes your mind. And which is why I keep my channel generally positive, and why my overall take on the Galactic Starcruiser is still net positive. Now, since I've been ranting for a minute, what I want to do is I want to watch that promo video and kind of give you my comments live as we watch it. So here we go. All right. So this actor, I honestly, the first time I watched this, I did not like him. This is Anne Morrow Johnson, one of the Imagineers, who's this is her baby. This is her project. She's been in all the promo for it because this is her baby. And so she's describing it. The interesting part is that they're showing concept art. Some people say they show concept art because it doesn't look as good. I think it's not ready yet. From what I've heard from Ashley Eckstein, who did an interview on Thank the Maker podcast recently, she was saying there's stuff that's still under construction. So that makes sense they wouldn't show it if it's still under construction. That's a week ago. This actor, though, Sean Giambrone, he's too much. He's over the top. Golly geez, I can't believe it. And I didn't like him the first time I watched it, but I watched this with my kids this weekend, and my older son pointed out, I'm going to pause that. I'm going to go back. I wanted to point out, he's the voice of Jeff on Clarence. And as someone, I've watched Clarence with my kids for years, and that totally changed my outlook on it, because now when I hear him, I'm like, oh, that is Jeff from Clarence. And I totally changed I don't hate him as much now. This is something interesting, though. Okay, aside from the concept artwork,
and then there's activities you can do.
You talk about the activities, and she says lightsaber training, right? Then they show a live clip. That clip's from inside Savi's. That clip is from inside Savi's. It's just interesting that they didn't show it inside the lightsaber dojo, which we saw Josh D'Amaro do his little thingy thing with, and it was fine. I guess it looked underwhelming, but it's one of those things where until we're in that room holding that lightsaber, we don't know what it feels like. We don't know what that's like. I'm sure it vibrates a little when you hit the lights. It's going to be more than just it does. You're going to feel there's going to be some haptic feedback. The music's going to be there. You're going to be there with your friends or family. I think it's going to be way different in person than it is in what we saw in that video. But it is interesting that they didn't use a clip of that on this right here. Instead, they showed Savi's. Now, okay, concept artwork of the bridge right there. It looks cool. It looks cool and busy, right? I don't know that looks quite like where they're at. Like when they show them right here in the bridge, it looks like it feels different. One of the other complaints I see people saying is that it looks cheap. Oh, this right here. I'm going to move my camera here. My friend Sarah pointed this out, that this thing in the background here, that big rectangle, that looks like a cover, like they're hiding construction. And I'm guessing that's the atrium, because if he's facing this way and he's doing the punch it thing, or I guess this way, and he's doing punch it behind him, if that's the front, like he's facing the front of the ship, behind him would be the atrium. So I'm guessing the atrium is still under construction. So this feeds into why they're showing concept artwork and not actual like live footage of where it's at. And yeah, I think that's what that is that's a cover of the atrium. And people are saying, again, I was trying to get into that, people are saying the consoles look cheap and cheesy and not good. And someone in one of the Facebook groups, when I posted about this, had mentioned something that, like, these are made to be beaten and pushed a billion times by little kids. They need to be durable. And that is function. That is functionality coming into the form of it, right? I don't think they look bad. I mean, everyone's in Star Trek, which is another thing you see in these comments, is like somebody says one thing and everybody just parrots it. No one has an original thought, which if you all think the same thing, that's fine. But I don't see Star Trek. I'm also not a Star Trek fan, so that's, I don't know. I look at it and I see, oh, you know what? The lighting is a little weird, but it does kind of remind me of the inside of a Mon Calamari cruiser. Like when we see Admiral Raddus on Rogue One, or when we see some of the ships in Last Jedi. When you see the inside of the ship, a lot of those consoles actually do kind of look like this. So to me, it doesn't seem off. The little screens, when they look kind of like 80s, I actually think that fits in with Star Wars, because Star Wars created in 77. Empire came out in 80. Return of the Jedi, 83. All of the ships are designed with that era, like, in mind. They're using tech and stuff repurposed from that era. So when I see stuff on the screen here that looks like those kind of, old school consoles with the old school monitors, I think that lines up with Star Wars. To me, it does. Now, this hallway is a part of great debate here. I'm going to move me over. Oh, this hallway. So, couple things on this hallway. This is not a hallway to where the cabins are. Now, in the concept artwork for the cabins, they showed sloped-in floors and sloped-in ceilings, which here on the side, we don't see sloped-in anything. And judging by that panel right behind the panel that starts up here and goes all the way down, there's no room to put in a slope, and if you did, it would hide the lights, right? So this hallway is like that. I'm pretty sure this hallway is fully constructed, exit signs and all, which I wish they could have hidden a little bit better, but I understand there are rules when it comes to building things that you have to have those kind of things. You can't hide them for safety reasons. That makes total sense. I get it. But I'll admit, this hallway does not look great. But this is not a hallway that leads you to... This isn't a hallway with cabins in it. So I think the hallway with cabins in it is going to actually have those sloped floors and everything. I really hope it does. Now, this seems like some kind of camera trickery. Again, I think those are elevators or maybe something to the side, that yellow door over there that we just saw. But I think this is like kind of funny camera work. Because notice I'm going to move my camera again. He enters in this way. He like goes down this hall, whatever. That's not how you get to the Sublight Lounge. The Sublight Lounge, according to the map, has an entrance that is only from the atrium. Now, if we use that black sheet that we saw in the other scene, blocking the view of the atrium, we take in the fact that they're only showing concept art and not showing the actual atrium, tells me that it's still under construction. So we can't base any of what we've seen and say that's what it's going to be, that's what it is. It's still under construction. With the exception of the Sublight Lounge, which I think, is possible that this is it. Now, I look at that bar and I'm like, that's a cool looking bar, but it's small. It's very small. And while it's only going to be, let's say, 350 to 400 people, right? Roughly, per cruise. And people are going to be lightsaber training. People are going to be shopping. People are going to be eating. So it's not going to be super full. Not everybody's going to be a degenerate like me the whole time hanging out in the Sublight Lounge all day, every day. But I want to try every one of those drinks. Now notice there are those like lit up things, like there's the big white ones, right? The big white lit up things, and then next to them there's like a turquoise one, a red one, a yellow one, a purple one. There's something behind the bartender, and then there's another like orange one, a purple one, and then the big white one again. Those look like taps. Taps just like at Oga's. Now at Oga's, all the drinks are pre-mixed. They mix them in the back, and they're in big vats, and then they just pour them through a tap, and you get your drink. It makes it speedy. It gets things out quick. Consistency also is nice, so you don't get like different drinks depending on who the bartender is. But for a luxury cruise, and that's the price we're paying, is for a luxury cruise, right? We're paying more than a luxury cruise. I wish it was more of a full bar kind of situation where if maybe I didn't want to drink their sugary whatever, I could tell them, hey, just give me a, whatever. And that doesn't, we don't know what's in front of the bartender. There might be bottles down there with like regular whatever options. But it is a little weird to me that they don't have, for being what it is, there's not some kind of like full bar setup. And maybe they're hiding it. And if so, yes, that's awesome. That's what I would have done. If this was me as an Imagineer, I would have said, no, what's in view needs to be Star Wars, but what's hidden needs to be the regular stuff, because people are going to want to pay a lot. You're going to want some guy, some old grandpa who just wants to drink his scotch or whatever. Like it's going to come up. It's going to come up. So you kind of want to accommodate everybody, especially if they're paying that much. So hopefully there's a full bar below where they're at, and they can like make drinks from there. Either way, my intent is to try every drink I can, alcoholic and non. I don't care how much it costs. I'm going to try every drink, provided it's not already at Oga's. Now, he does hand him, if you notice this glass, it's kind of square. Look at that glass. It's like triangle-y shaped or whatever, but it's squared edges. That's a new shape of glass that I'm going to need to have to collect. I need to find out where that's at and get one for myself. It also has like a weird shaped base. But he shushes him, and here we see Gaia for the first time. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, it looks like Fifth Element. It looks like Fifth Element. I see the similarities for sure. But I think that's like cheap and surface level. Because last time I watched Fifth Element, I couldn't stop saying, oh my God, they're ripping off Star Wars. Oh my God, they're ripping off Star Wars. And when I say ripping off, I mean that lovingly. Like, I watch Fifth Element, and I love seeing how much Star Wars influence is in it. So it's neat kind of to see this come full circle. Like, to me, that's not a complaint. I think that's cool. And it does give off some Fifth Element vibes, I guess. Only in the fact that it's an alien singing and it's a woman. Kind of stops there, for me at least. Now, there are some complaints about Gaia, that people think she just looks cheap and not great. I think I love the Leku headtails. I think that part looks really good. The costume does look a little cartoonish and cheap. It looks Disney. To me, it looks Disney. When you like, if you were to take Star Wars and slap a Disney filter over it, like you do with the face app thing, and you make yourself look like a Disney character, that's kind of what she looks like. She looks more animated and cartoony, which is, I'm guessing, why people are saying, well, it doesn't look like Star Wars to me. Okay, I could see that. I understand that. But I don't dislike it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see I see where people say that, but I don't dislike it. In fact, this song, a lot of people are complaining about this song too. My only complaint is that it's in English. But I even like it. So listen to this. Okay. Just a cappella, or a little build up. Yeah, build up. Okay, here goes. So you hear that, right? I like this song, actually. Not gonna lie, I'm into this song. It's quick. It's quick and to the point. I like that song. Now, it actually sounds like a song called Aluga Who. I'm gonna pull it up. Give me a second. I'm gonna pull up Aluga Who from the DJ Rex playlist on from Galaxy's Edge. Aluga Who. I didn't know I was gonna go Ace Ventura all of a sudden. All right, let me look up Aluga Who. Now, there's part of this song. You hear this? Listen to this instrumentation right here. Okay, that's all I'm going to play because I don't want to get this video taken down. Let's go back and listen to this part right here. Hear it? Bum, bum. So, that's interesting. To me, those sound similar. So when I hear that song, and I've have the DJ Rex playlist like pretty much memorized in my head forever. I listen to it pretty often. That sounds Star Wars. That sounds like something I would hear in Oga's Cantina, her song, other than the fact that it's in English. All the songs on the playlist are in Huttese or Jawaese or whatever you want to call them. Now, the interesting part about DJ Rex's playlist is there is a song by Gaia. It's called Ula Shuka. Now I'm going to skip a little ahead. It's funky. Okay. Now, the funny part about Gaia and that song Ula Shuka, which I definitely recommend everybody listen to, is it's very funky and it is a different sounding performer than the Gaia on screen right up there. So in D23 of 2019, just after a couple months after Galaxy's Edge opened, I had the privilege of watching the music and sounds of Galaxy's Edge panel at D23, and we actually a really kind of fun side note is the friend of mine that got me the spot for that and had like an extra spot, Chris. He's actually going to be joining. We just found out he switched his cruise. He's going to be joining us on the March 3rd cruise, so we'll be seeing him there, which is really neat to come full circle. Haven't seen him since D23. This is someone I've met just through the internet. During the opening of Galaxy's Edge, months later, hung out at D23, and now years later, we'll be hanging out again March 3rd at the Galactic Starcruiser, just through the power of the internet. It's neat to have like cool friends like that. But we sat there and we watched the band perform that song live, the recording band perform it live. And the woman that sang in this band for Gaia was not that woman. So to me, that's interesting. And I think that might even be a misstep. That's a concern I have is like, wait a minute. This is an inconsistency. You're telling me that's Gaia, but I've seen Gaia and that's not Gaia. And the style is different. It's a style that is someone else on the playlist, but it's not the same one that they're calling Gaia on the playlist. Just something to think about. That's the hang up that I get hung up on. That's the thing that I'm like, that's not right. I think the lounge just looks so small. Oh, there was a scene. Let's go back. I want to show you something right here. So he gets his drink. And this is something that is a little worrisome too. I'm going to move my camera. Okay, right there. What do you see on the bottom, or down here, on the bottom corner? Look at that, underneath Gaia. That's the Sabacc table. That's the hollow Sabacc table. You can see the 4 different buttons. I think that's where the cards might show up or something. I don't know how that hologram's going to work. And I hope it really does, and I hope it's not just the cards light up on those 4 little panels. I'm worried that's the only one. There's one, I think there's just one hollow Sabacc table, and that's it. So between the Sublight Lounge being very small, there being just one hollow Sabacc table, I think the lounge itself looks cool, and I'm going to be more than happy to hang out in there, just kind of drinking, chilling, getting my Star Wars groove on. But I want to play hollow Sabacc, and it looks like there's only 4 seats, which means it's going to be hard to get a spot there. And it's also going to be hard to kick me out. Sorry, guys. I'm warning you all. So, overall, that was... Okay, so this is the other thing. It ends, right? And then he comes back out of that room, which is not the... It's not the actual doors. You notice they did a flash. And they didn't show him actually walking out of the subway. It's all clever video production tricks.
You just met Gaia. She was incredible. Let's get you back to the launch pod in your home planet.
It's just
great. All right.
I have to agree with people though when they see that hallway and they say it doesn't. Every time I see it, I'm like, yeah, you're right. It doesn't look great. The hallway doesn't look great. I don't know. I honestly, I don't think they're going to add more to that. I don't think they're going to add more to anything that they just showed in that promo. I think that's anything we saw in that promo is final. And while I don't love that hallway, I also have to remind myself that's not the whole Starcruiser. We have not seen this atrium yet. So, and the atrium's the biggest part. That's the biggest common area. So even if you can't get a spot in the Sublight Lounge, we know there's going to be servers walking around the atrium, getting you drinks and taking your orders. So that's a thing too. But I want to play Hollow Sabacc. I want to be in there. And it's interesting that you get these outlets. You get Amy Ratcliffe, who wrote a big old thing for Nerdist. And she had a really, really positive takeaway. And honestly, I hold her opinion very highly. I do. Like, she did the artwork of, and maybe a bit biased. Honestly, like, let's put that out there too. I hold it highly because I agree with a lot of what she has to say. But is it biased? Yeah, I think it is. Same with Ashley Eckstein. I think her excitement is infectious. When I hear her so excited about it, I'm like, yeah. And my woes are soothed. You know, I'm like, oh, okay, this is gonna be fine. It's gonna be okay. She seems very excited about it. But I'm not unrealistic. I'm not unreason. You know, like I understand that there's gonna be some bias built in because she's an employee of the company and she never wants to say anything negative. You know, like you just don't want to, especially if that's your parent company. You're going to only skew towards what's positive and just talk on that. So that's something to consider too. So like while I like their feedback and their feedback makes me feel better, I also have to just keep that in the back of my mind that like we're getting it through a filter. Fortunately, I can give this stuff to you with no filter. The only filter I have is going to be when I'm excited about something, it's hard for me to see the negative. That's me. That's just my personality, which is why I do what I do here on this channel. Is even if something is bad and I don't like it, I usually automatically gloss over it without thinking about it because my go-to position is to just focus on what I like and what I love. And I mentioned this in a video years ago. I was doing video like movie reviews at the time, and one of the things I brought up is like, look, even if a movie's bad, I still usually try to like what I can out of it because I paid money for it. It's one of those things like, no, I paid money for this. I don't want to be like angry about it. It's rare that I get mad about a movie I don't like or I get mad about something that I don't like. I just don't try to live my life like that. That sounds horrible. I don't know how some of these people in these comments do this stuff. How do you live your life like that? Just carrying that around with you. That's, to me, I don't understand that. That's the part I don't get. So that's my filter. That's my own little bias, is that I tend to skip over the negative and just focus on the positive. But my goal with Galactic Starcruiser is still going to be to present to you everything. I'm still excited. I'm worried. I'm not going to lie. I'm still a little bit worried. But after seeing that promo, I'm not as mad as everybody else is. I know there's a lot of people who are like so mad that there was the comments were so bad. And that coincidentally lined up with the 90-day period before your cruise, it needs to be paid in full. So when you book the cruise, you put 20% down, right? And then you have until 90 days before the cruise. So March 1st was the first voyage. 90 days hit just a couple days ago. A lot of people were like, ooh, we saw the promo. Maybe it wasn't what we expected for the $6,000 or however much they paid, even more if they got the captain's quarters or whatever. It's not worth it yet. Maybe we don't know. So they cancel so they can still get their money back. That, you get your money back. If you cancel by the 90 days, that's fine. If you wait till after that, you only get half your money back. If you're within 30 days, you get no money back. So it was kind of a time of like, put up or shut up. You're either going to stick with this or lose half your money. And so a lot of people, after seeing the lightsaber training, seeing that promo with Gaia, they were like, you know what? Not worth the gamble. Not worth the $6,000 gamble on whether this is going to be good or not. Not everybody's in a fortunate position where they get to share it with everybody. So, like, just to be fully transparent, I know going into this, when I paid my $1,700 plus whatever share, I know that with the videos I create about the Galactic Starcruiser, I'm going to make a lot of that back up. So my risks are minimal, very minimal. Even if the experience isn't great, I'm probably still going to make that up. So again, I'm not, it's not like I'm paying for a family of four, $6,000, and I could be out that $6,000 and we could all be unhappy with what we spent. I'm not running that risk. Even if it's not great and not perfect, my costs were lower than most people. I'm in a position where I'm able to share that with you guys and recoup a lot of that costs. And so that's something that I recognize too. And like when I talk about this stuff and when I get hyped about it, I recognize that I'm in a unique position, and it is what it is. That's all I can do is give you my own personal perspective. But that's kind of where I sit on this. That's where I sit on this. I'm still net positive on this. I'm still looking forward to. I'm actually really looking forward to the food, which is something a lot of people like. You don't hear any of the criticism. Nobody's like complaining about the experience. They complain about the cost. They complain about the look, and it stops there. And one of the things when I read any of those comments, instantly any criticism, any credibility towards that criticism, and like any credibility they had when criticizing it, gets thrown out the window when they call it a Star Wars hotel. It's not a hotel. If you don't understand that it's more than a hotel, that it's food, it's entertainment, you're paying for actors, If you don't understand that, then you don't understand what it is, and your criticisms don't mean anything to me. Like, I just throw that criticism out the way. If someone wants to cry about price and they're like, oh, it's just for a hotel. No, it's not just for a hotel. I live in Las Vegas. Down the street from me, about 10 minutes, you can get a suite for like $10,000, $20,000 a night. And that doesn't come with food or entertainment. That's just a bunch of rooms that looks fancy. You know? So when I see that in my backyard, you know, literally if I go from my house and look out, I can see the strip. Like, it's right there. I'm not far. And to know that, like, no, there's $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 suites all right there lining the sky. When I see something like this that's Star Wars, that's themed to Star Wars, includes food, drinks, not alcoholic beverages and not specialty drinks, but still food and drinks for those 2-ish days, entertainment, and just I think it's still going to be a good value overall. I'm still optimistic about it. I'm still hopeful this is going to be cool. And honestly, I think those performers, those actors are going to kill it, because these people are so excited. These actors have been like wanting an opportunity. They get to be Star Wars characters every day. How cool is that? How freaking cool. I'm here pretending in my room, in my office in Las Vegas, and they get to do it every day for real on board the Starcruiser. So I have full confidence that those actors are going to be what makes or breaks this thing, and I think every one of those actors wants it, and they're going to do their best to deliver for us and keep us in that story. You look at Captain Keevan. I think something does look a little bit off on the picture of Captain Keevan, but it does look like the concept art. It does. The only difference I'm seeing is the little nameplate on the side, or the captain's rank badge, and I think the Chandler Starline logo on the hat instead of what they showed in the concept art. Minor things. But I don't know if it's the angle and the jaw of the actress that they've got there. Maybe it might be the angle, the way, like, the head's position. But it looks a little, that coupled with the blue paint on the skin, it looks a little off. And I don't know what that is, but I'm sure when we get there and we see Captain Keevan and she like demands our respect, everything's going to change. Everything is going to change the second we're in there and we're actually talking with these characters. Now, my big concern right now, my biggest worry about this, and I think this might come true, is a couple weeks ago they showed us all the characters that are going to be on this: the First Order lieutenant, the mechanic, the captain, the cruise director and her droid friend. I have a bad feeling that that's it. That there won't be aliens roaming around other than Gaia. I have a bad, or the captain, but I have a bad feeling there's not going to be random alien characters walking around. And there needs to be. That's going to sell the experience. Disney, if you're watching, Anne Morrow Johnson, Scott Trowbridge, if you're watching any of this, Disney, anybody at Disney, you have a couple months to get this right. You, like, honestly, if you're pulling videos based on the feedback or because you don't want people canceling because they've seen too much, you have a couple months to get this perfect. And there's still time to implement this in your budget and get this like a thing, especially for what we're paying for this. There needs to be aliens walking around. Dress them up in the clothes you sell at the shop. Make them be an advert. Oh yeah, I got this in the shop. You can buy your own. But they need makeup. They need we need that. We absolutely need that. If it's just those 5 or 6 characters they showed us, the captain, cruise director, the droid walking around, the First Order guy, the mechanic, it's like 5 characters so far. We need more than that. We need random characters that we haven't seen yet. And there's no confirmation if we will or won't get them. But I'm telling you right now, as one of the few people out here on YouTube who's championing this project and is still looking forward to this project and has been overall positive on this project, for me, that's going to make or break it. And honestly, I say that, but I also felt the same way about Galaxy's Edge, and I still love Galaxy's Edge for what it is, knowing that they overpromised and underdelivered. I still love it for what it is, but a lot of that I brought. A lot of that I bring with me. I love it because I love the community that's there. I love, going to the lightsaber meetups. I love doing the droid meetups. I love doing the bounty hunts. And a lot of that is the community. So I'm going to end it by saying this. A big part of this is what we bring with it. And how special this Galactic Starcruiser is totally dependent on what we bring, right? We get to control that level of enjoyment. We and our friends and our group and our family, and how hard we play and how much we make that story our own, is going to determine how good this is. Which I'll admit kind of sucks to say, considering how much it costs. For how much it costs, it should be perfect and presented to us on a platter, and we should have to do nothing, right? I fully understand that. But at the same time, I know that a lot of this is going to be what we make of it. And so I'm going to go in there positive, ready to play hard, ready to like hang out with a bunch of other people dressed up like Star Wars characters, nerd out, eat some crazy wild food, drink some really cool drinks. I think my dogs are very excited too. You can hear that. You're not going. You guys aren't going. So I want to leave this with this. I'm positive. I'm still here for it, but I'm definitely concerned. They've got a couple months to get this right. Disney, hit me up. If you want some cool ideas, hit me up. I'm here for you. I'm here. I will do what we can. Let's play test the heck out of this thing, guys. Now, if you're watching this during the premiere, my goodness, my dogs are going crazy. They are excited. If you're watching this during the premiere, be sure to stick around. So this is going to premiere on Thursday, December 9th. If you're watching it right now, stick around. It's going to kick over into a live stream where I want to gather your thoughts. I want to get your comments, throw them up on screen, and we can talk about them and see how you guys are feeling about this. Good or bad, I mean, provided what you're typing in is relative to the subject of Galactic Starcruiser, and it's not just like something, just vitriol that I have to throw out. They'll be like, okay, yeah, you obviously don't understand it. Your comment's not going up. But I'm going to do my best to put your guys' thoughts and comments up on the screen and talk about them. So please, I hope you stick around. I hope you join me. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you're subscribed if you like Galactic Starcruiser or if you like Galaxy's Edge or Star Wars in general. We've got a lot more stuff coming, and I love to have you guys here. I kind of want to make my channel a little bright spot in the universe that's real, though. That, like, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I have my concerns. But I'm still positive on the whole experience. I'm still excited. I'm still dressing up. Look at this. Look at me. I'm ready for Galactic Starcruiser dinner. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, don't be a moof milker like a lot of those people in those comments. Instead, be the spark.